over a century, a tradition of intercollegiate athletic excellence has been strong in central Nebraska. This is an inside look at that tradition. This is the University of Nebraska Kearney Loper Review. Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef, from our family to yours.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Loper Review. I'm your host, Randy Bushcutter. Well, it's a busy time for UNK athletics as the winter sports season is winding down. The spring sports season is well underway. We'll talk a lot about basketball and track this month, but we'll also turn our attention to football. We'll catch up with the Junior Loper program that connects UNK student athletes with much younger athletes at the Kearney YMCA. In our senior spotlight, we'll visit with an athlete that's truly multi-talented. And on Antelope 101, it's a look back at the 50s. So stay with us as we take another special look inside Loper athletics right after this timeout.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
That school bus is yellow for a reason. Yellow means caution. Those flashing lights are red for a reason. Red means stop.
Hey girl, what's up? Nothing much.
Never pass a stopped school bus. Don't pass from either direction. It's not just the law, it's a child's life.
Brought to you by the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Child Safety Network, School Bus Safety Company, and the Nebraska Safety Center. Keeping Nebraskans safe, one day at a time.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Last year we told you about the Junior Loper program that connected UNK student athletes with young people in a classroom setting in the Kearney area. Well, this year's program has the same name, deals with the same age group, but now they've moved from the classroom to the Kearney YMCA.
We approached UNK about trying to see if we can partner up in creating a Junior Lopers program. A lot of the YMCAs across the nation have similar partnerships, whether it's with an NBA team, a college, or even a high school team. The goal of the program was to create a partnership and also hopefully create some sort of mentoringship for the kids. You know, we wanted the kids to have somebody to look up to, somebody in our community to look up to, not necessarily just the YMCA, what they see on TV, but somebody local that they could actually meet face-to-face, interact face-to-face, and also just get an opportunity to learn from the people, what I believe is the best in our community.
Well, first of all, our coach had come up to us and talked to us about doing some volunteer work as a team, and this was one way to get connected with the community through the young kiddos in town. And so we set up a camp, I believe, that started it all, and it was the whole group of Junior Lopers, young girls that could come out to the YMCA, and we run them through a camp of basketball drills. And so my initial idea was excitement, because I love working with kids. I love sports in general, and I didn't play them when I was a kid at that age. So I wanted to have an impact on their lives at this age in my life. So if we could go out there and basically show them the sport we love, maybe we'll have some in the future coming out to this college and playing ball as well.
You know, once we added our initial conversation with Sean Fairbanks at UNK, it was pretty easy going. You know, as far as the athletes that we want to get involved, we want to try to get involved as many of the athletic teams that we can that match the programs that we offer here. So we offer football, soccer, volleyball, and basketball. So those are the sports that we want to try to partner with. Excuse me, also cheerleading. So we want to try to incorporate those teams and hopefully get them in a position when they can be, you know, positive role models for our youth that are participating in the program. As far as the number of youth that we'd like to have, you know, with our flag football program, we have over 400 kids that participate in our flag football program. You know, our basketball is close to 300 participants. So, you know, throughout the year, we're looking at impacting over 1,000 kids, and, you know, creating those mentors, those role models from UNK. So there's a lot of kids to impact. I think it's definitely positive vibe for our community and our youth, and, you know, our youth moving forward. They have somebody to look up to, and also support UNK. That's one of the things that we wanted to is, you know, get families aware of what UNK is doing and what their athletic department is doing that's so successful, and go out and support our team that we have here in our Kearney community. Well, we're definitely not topped out. We definitely want to try to reach as many kids that we can in our community and make that positive impact. That's what we're here for as the YMCA, and with that partnership with UNK, you know, that only gives us a bigger opportunity to reach out to these kids and these families. You know, as far as going forward, this is our first season running the program, so there's a couple of things that we'd like to see if we can improve, but you know, there are a couple ideas that we have in mind that we'd like to present and see if that's an option, just to present an atmosphere for the kids that, you know, they really enjoy participating in these programs.
So it was just a really neat experience to kind of have an impact on their lives and maybe show them what's ahead for them in the future. Even now, being done with basketball, I can see some of these girls around town, and they come running up to me and they're like, "That was the coolest thing ever. When are you playing again? When can we come out and watch you again?" They just are so excited. They build a tunnel when we come out for games. They come support us. They're our biggest fans, and so it was just so exciting, especially not having family out here in basketball, to have a little support group like that.
It's been amazing, and the kids don't even have to say anything. You can just see it in their faces when they're able to, you know, be face to face or in the same area as these athletes from UNK. Like I said, their smiles and their eyes say it all. It's when we did our preseason clinic, the kids were overwhelmed with fun, with the excitement of the UNK players and coaches being there. As far as the response that we've gotten from the coaches and the UNK athletic department, it's been a great response. You know, they're very anxious and very happy to help with developing our youth and being a part of our mission statement in developing our youth here in our community. As far as our coaches, you know, they think it's great because they're able to get additional input from coaches and from players. And, you know, it's a great resource for the coaches to have when they're able to get that kind of knowledge from players and from our coaches here from UNK.
I definitely want to be coaching in the future with something, whether it's with children or older. I've found myself enjoying working with kids more than working with adults. So with my psychology degree, I have the opportunity to not only be a counselor, but I can work on the side and coach maybe a YMCA team or little 6- and 7-year-olds. So I definitely find a lot of joy in it and enjoyed it.
It's all within our budget, and, you know, like I said, our ultimate goal is to reach out to as many youth and families that we can in our community. And with this partnership that we have with UNK, you know, I think that is a goal that we can easily accomplish, and I think we can continue to keep engaging more people in our programs, and, you know, increase the participation in our programs to ultimately perform and ultimately you know, create healthier lifestyles.
Well, the Junior Loper program has been an unqualified success, and they plan on doing it again next fall with flag football. Time now for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll shine our senior spotlight on a Loper athlete who will be competing in one event at Nationals. Or should we say 7 events? We'll straighten it out right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explorers through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
That school bus is yellow for a reason. Yellow means caution. Those flashing lights are red for a reason. Red means stop.
Hey girl, what's up? Nothing much.
Never pass a stopped school bus. Don't pass from either direction. It's not just the law, it's a child's life.
Brought to you by the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Child Safety Network, School Bus Safety Company, and the Nebraska Safety Center. Keeping Nebraskans safe, one day at a time.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
And welcome back. Time now for our senior spotlight with Dillon Schrodt from the UNK track and field team. Dillon, appreciate the time.
No problem.
You originally started going to Lincoln, where you walked on with the football program and doing a little bit of track. You found your way to Kearney. What was that transition like? And we're glad to have you in Kearney, but why did you make it into town?
Well, walking on just turned out not to be for me. I wasn't happy where I was at. I decided to go somewhere where I wanted to play football and actually play instead of just practice. And UNK at the time was a good team, and that's where I wanted to be.
As you're going through that transition, were there some things that were a little bit more difficult to make that transition to coming to UNK?
I think the transition was relatively easy athletic-wise. I had a great training base in Lincoln, and here at Kearney they weren't too far off from things I'd been used to. Didn't know anybody at all. That wasn't a big deal. It was easy to make friends. The hardest part of the transition was make sure all my credits transferred like they should have.
You did know some people because your uncle's the head athletic trainer here, Bill Murphy, and your father's been director of creative services here at UNK for the last few years. Yeah. Did you want to get away from those guys? Was it nice to have those guys close to school?
They're probably the reason why UNK was top of the list when I was transferring. Bill was gracious enough to let me live in his basement for the summer until the dorms I could move in. My father, I only see him once a week, and that's only to steal a free meal out of him.
No laundry?
No, I did it all myself.
Well, then you're different than my daughter, I'll tell you that right now. You're one of the relatively few athletes that we've been able to draw from Lincoln. In your opinion, why is that? Is there a feeling that maybe the community is too small for the folks from Lincoln?
I know from my graduating class of about 515, only 5 of us made our way to UNK. And I think the perception is west of Lincoln there's nothing. Everything they need is in Lincoln. Omaha's a short drive away. It's all about the community size, but I found Kearney has everything you need.
You mentioned before that you were doing a little football, a little track. Even with the track program itself, you do several different events. You do both the decathlon and the heptathlon, which means you got to do a little bit of everything. Yeah. How did you fall into that? Is that what is that the appeal of the event?
There's some schools that always wanted me to do the multi-events, and I definitely specialize in a couple of them. But I think with my ability to learn things quickly and control my body, I was a top candidate for something that requires explosion, discipline, and maybe the guts to complete all 10 events.
And that has to be taxing both mentally and physically, because you have to do so many different things, learn so many different proper methods of doing it.
Yeah. In every event in track, technique is what makes or breaks your performance, and that's the hardest part, is just learning the technique. The coaches will prepare you enough to stay in shape to make it through the competition, but you definitely need a couple of days off afterwards.
That has to be grueling, because you're busy the entire meet. If you had a 3-day meet, you'd be busy all 3 days. Oftentimes, you only have about a day to get through a lot of these things. That has to be very taxing.
I like being busy. Even if I'm not in track, I stay busy. They give us a half hour between events. That's all the recovery I need.
What are your majors? What are you planning to do after graduation?
Well, I graduated last semester with a teaching degree. I'll be able to teach math, PE, and I have a coaching minor. Right now I'm doing my graduate school in sports administration, and I hope to stay in and involved with track through coaching, most likely at the collegiate level.
And eventually, are you looking to be an administrator, a sports, an athletic director somewhere?
That'd be nice. I mean, I think that's a lot of people's goals that are teachers, is to get into administration. I would just prefer the athletic side instead of the principalship side. And so,
obviously, we're prepping for the indoor meet. I just imagine that the nationals indoors can be a real circus. How do you, and you've been there before, obviously, with your 4th trip. How do you adjust? How do you make that adjustment for that?
You know, when you go to a national meet, everything changes. You may be used to routines or getting all the warm-ups you need, but when you're there, there's rules, there's strict time limits on when you have to be checked in. All the athletes there are competitive, okay? So it's just a matter of staying focused on what you're doing at the time in order to be successful later.
And that's spread out over 3 days, correct?
The indoor national meet is 2 days.
2 days.
It'll be a Friday and Saturday.
So you actually have more time to recover.
Yeah, the difference is we start the multi in the morning. And so when I go to Alabama, I'll probably be up at 5 a.m. ordering room service to make sure I have that breakfast to be ready to compete by 9 a.m.
So what's for room service?
Well, you have to have the glass of juice. I try to stay away from the dairy products, but as long as it's full of protein, eggs, ham, and then the starches like the hash brown, plenty of energy to complete all those events in a day.
Breakfast food really is pretty good. I mean, there's a reason it is breakfast food, right? Get your day started.
Yeah, I would never miss breakfast. But the only reason I order room service is because most other restaurants aren't open by the time I wake up.
You had a problem, but a good problem to have, because you actually qualified not just for the heptathlon, but also for a couple other events. What was your decision and why?
Well, I qualified in hurdles, high jump, alternate for the 4x4 relay, and the heptathlon itself. And we had to make a tough decision to declare which events I actually wanted to participate in. And we decided to only choose the heptathlon to make sure I have all the energy I need, all the focus I need to win a national championship. While, like last year, I tried to do hurdles in the evening after being at the track all morning. It makes a really long day and little rest.
So you want to keep that strength for the next day, because with it being a 2-day event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm willing to sacrifice those events for a greater prize in the heptathlon.
When you look back on your career and your time in Kearney, what are some of those things you're going to remember most fondly?
Some of the best things I'll remember are just the friendships you develop. I mean, I've had some really good roommates, teammates, even people that have the same math major as me. I mean, all sorts of different people that I got to spend time with. Has really made the 4 years here at UNK the most enjoyable.
And hopefully there'll be a great memory at your final track meet.
Yes. The only great memory is if I can put a ring on one of these fingers.
Hey, Dillon, appreciate the time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Antelope 101 right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back to another session of Antelope 101. Last month we looked at Loper athletics in the 1940s. A decade persevered through World War II and the welcoming of Coach Charlie Foster to campus. This month we bring you part one of a two-chapter series on the Antelopes in the 50s. That was the decade Al Zikmund came to the school to coach the football team. 2 years ago, we took an up-close and personal look at Coach Zikmund's career, and this month on Antelope 101, we bring that report out of the archives. So now we turn things back over to our Loper Review host, Randy Bushcutter.
You know, it was almost 60 years ago that Al Zikmund was hired to be the head football coach for the Lopers. That began after a 15-minute-long meeting with school president Herbert Cushing, and after 8 years of coaching at the high school level. Now, that 8 years of coaching in high school began after Zikmund turned down George Halas and the Chicago Bears twice. The first time he turned down Coach Halas was after his playing career for the University of Nebraska. The second came after he finished his service to our country, serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II.
So I spent my 3.5 years in the Navy, came out, and here's George Halas again. Al, I want you to come and play football as a wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. And I said, well, I appreciate that, but now I have just signed a contract to coach in a Class A school in Nebraska. And I have a new daughter, and everything just doesn't stack up just right. But I said, I do have a request of you. Could I borrow one of your playbooks for the Chicago Bears? He said, sure, I'll send it to you. And my goodness, he did. He sent me the Chicago Bear playbook with all the plays in it and everything. And it worked like a charm for us. You know, it's pretty much the same thing. Many of the colleges we played had not seen anything like that before, with the split ends and the slot backs and motion and so on.
Claire Boroff, a member of the UNK Hall of Fame in his own right, played for Coach Zikmund, was an assistant coach for him, and then succeeded him as head coach. Although Coach Zikmund still has the best winning percentage in Loper football history, Coach Boroff has the most total wins.
It just seemed to me as you know, and it's probably a little clearer today than it was when I played, but he was way ahead of his time. We were in a lot of different offensive formations. He was very innovative in the things that he did, and the coaches that he had did a good job of teaching it. And so as players, you know, we thoroughly enjoyed playing for Coach Zik and being a part of either the offense or the defense at that time, because it was ahead of its time.
My coach in college at the university was Biff Jones. He was a major in the Army, and our practice sessions were set up by the minutes. You know, we'd have 10 minutes at this drill, and we ran to the next drill, and we'd have 12 minutes in the next drill, and so on. And we never had long, drug-out practices. They were curt, to the point, and we got it done and covered.
I had the privilege of taking football theory, not only to play for Coach Zik, but also to take football theory. And as I look back, just the way he prepared his students to go out into public education and to coach was just phenomenal. The organization, the expertise, the preciseness, all of those things were just so critical.
I don't like to lose. I'm a poor loser. I mean, I don't react as some coaches might react that you probably are aware of, but anyway, when we go out on the field, we're planning to win, and that's what I plan to do every game, no matter what, whether we were overmatched or undermatched.
The standout for me was just the people that you got the privilege of being associated with and to work with, and to see how hard young men were willing to work to be successful if you just provided the proper leadership. And that's what Coach Zik did, and that's what we tried to do as a coaching staff here at Kearney State/UNK.
Coach Zikmund led the Lopers to a victory in Shenandoah, Iowa's Botany Bowl at the end of his first season. It didn't really seem like it at the time, but that win would reap very practical benefits for the campus for decades to come.
And when it came time for the guarantee, they said, "We're sorry, but we didn't have a crowd, and we don't have any guarantee money to give you, but we'll pay you off in nursery stock from the 2 nurseries in Shenandoah." And in the spring, semi-truckload of trees and bushes and everything, and they were planted all over the campus there. So that was part of our deal. But winning that first bowl game was a thrill. We were primarily Nebraska-born people. They had a lot of pride. We had no scholarships. They played because they loved to play, and they played because they wanted to win.
We hope you enjoyed our special story on Coach Zikmund. Next month, we'll take a look at all the sports in the 1950s. Hope to see you then.
Well, thank you, Professor Page, and we'll finish up our look at the 1950s in Antelope 101 next month. That does wrap up the show for this month. I'm Randy Bushcutter. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, see ya, and go Lopers.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.